That was a lot, okay? That was a lot. Does anybody have questions on the stuff you just covered? Does that all make sense, everybody?
Shut the fuck up, Lutman. All
All
right,
right.
it's a stupid.
How about other
meme.
questions you might have? Yeah, go ahead.
So, like, do you have any websites where, like when you're looking for information on looking for like current news, you know, like news websites are normally pretty valid and normally aren't like happening and making stuff up. And for like events for like medical stuff, like what are those websites that you have?
The trusted websites that you trust for, like fact reporting and not.
Yeah. Usually most, I don't know if some people get triggered by this, but usually mainstream media sources are good at reporting factually correct stuff. They might spin stuff or selectively report things, but usually it's very rare that even Fox News, even CNN, it's very rare that they will publish like an outright lie. So if you're just looking for some factual piece of information, usually any mainstream media source will be okay because there are editors, there are people that usually get fired if they mess up on something. But more often than not, people aren't aware of this, but here's like a piece of information that not many people are aware of. There aren't usually that many studies published about a given topic. It's very rare. So like if somebody asks a question like, oh, well, what are suicide rates among post-op trans people? If somebody asks a question like that, and somebody's like, oh, I've read like hundreds of studies on this. No, you haven't. There aren't hundreds of studies on this. In any given field, there's gonna be like 1 to 5, maybe, really big studies, really big landmark studies, or huge meta-analyses that are summarizing a bunch of research that are gonna give you an answer in this field. So it's not like you have to go around and cite like 50 things. Sometimes when, you'll notice this, that sometimes there might be a question of like, what's better, natural immunity or immunity that you get via a vaccine? And somebody be like, oh, well, I know that natural immunity is better, or I know that vaccine immunity is better, and here's my 5 sources. But their sources are gonna be news articles. And when you click through to the news articles, what you'll notice is that every single news article is just sourcing the same study that was published in the New England Journal of Medicine or Lancet or some other medical journal. It's like, oh, okay. Well, really, it's one source. You've linked 5 news sites, but they're all linking back to some, medical journal. So in terms of like sites that I trust, any mainstream media site when it comes to factual, like just reporting what's happening, is generally going to be true. Some might omit certain facts, or some might kind of present some things, and I would argue maybe a dishonest light, but very, very, very rarely are they going to just outright lie about things.
Yeah. Do you know, Steven, do you know about allsides.com? You ever check that out? It's one that I like to use because it presents both like conservative and liberal views.